There's actually a lot of information that a consultant should monitor. Certainly on a weekly basis, they need to be looking at how many hours their temporaries are creating, how much revenue there is, what the margin is for that week, as well as the amount per hour, the average hours that a temporary is doing on their timesheets. As I say, there's a lot of information, so they need to keep on top of it. This is something that has to be taken weekly so that they can make sure that their plans are on track. One statistic that I made sure that I really kept an eye on was weekly hours. From the weekly hours, I could determine, first of all, whether I had got the right amount of timesheets in that I was expecting, but also if my temporaries were taking time off and I hadn't necessarily noticed it. So at the end of each week, I'd be able to actually see, did I need to make a focus of this? Was it something that I needed to talk to the temporaries about? Were they taking mornings or afternoon off without letting me know until the end of the week when the timesheet came in? And that's when I found out I was short on hours. It also helped me to determine strategies for the next month. And if it was an issue and the hours were dropping, then I would put a competition in to actually increase the hours. And maybe the temp of the month that month was the one that did the most hours, which meant that everyone actually ended up doing more hours. It really depends on your desk as to the standards that you need to set yourself. KPIs are something that some people love, some people hate. For me, they're a key part of being a temp consultant. You need to know whether you are actually achieving the performance that you need, and these will be the key indicators that tell you whether you are or you're not. So some of the key KPIs that I would look on as a temp consultant would be, have I got above 2-to-1 ratio on my temps to client base? Because if I've got less than that, then actually I'm working really hard to get a lot of temporaries out. And when you're working on a desk that's got a lot of positions and high turnover, then you can't afford to be doing that much work. You need to get more temps out for every client that you've got. Some of the standards that I would expect from a temp recruiter, and this is being generic because I have worked in many different sectors, but these ones do tend to stand up to all of them. Each temp consultant can easily manage 50 temporaries out themselves. So that would always be the first standard that I'll be looking for someone to actually reach that goal. As I've said, 2-to-1 ratio for their temps to their client base so that they've got more than one temp in every client. Also over 30 hours per week per timesheet, because it's that type of information. Again, you want longer term bookings. Average length of booking is another one that you could look at. 6 weeks is great. If you can get an average length of a temporary working for you for 6 weeks, then again, you're not having to recruit all the time. The amount of temporaries that you have out will vary drastically depending on the industry. If you're working in the IT industry and you're putting temporary or contract workers out at £1,500 a day, then of course you don't need as many as if you're putting people out on minimum wage. The amount that you can handle, though, pretty much is the same. So your 50 temporaries per person is feasible. It's a lot easier if they're longer term bookings. One of the key things as well is making sure that you're being effective in what you do. So one of the measurements might be, out of all the people that you register, how many are you actually getting to work? And for me, you need to be over 70%. Otherwise, you're spending half your time registering people that you're never going to use, and actually they'll probably bad-mouth you somewhere along the line because you haven't got them work.